AJEET Bhardwaj. We all know him as a renowned optometrist in India who has graduated from AIMS in 1979, Masters of Optometry, and is the founder and director of Optique in Vasant Vihar, New Delhi. He has been the past president of Asia Pacific Council of Optometry and Indian Optometry Federation. He was the board member of World Council of Optometry, World Optometry Foundation, and Optometry Council of India. He has also been the clinical director of Special Olympics Opening Eyes.
My talk is not on what we are doing, but my talk is on what are the trends, what are the global trends in ophthalmology and optometry. The basic concept of the talk is on latest technology. If we talk of technology, we have seen that technology keeps on changing every time, since times immemorial. But if you look at last 1.5 years, the way we have adopted new technologies and new innovation, it's something very, very unique. I'm talking of in variety of ways, and I'm talking of in numbers. The way we teach, the way we learn, the way we attend conferences, the way we do our yoga, the way we celebrate, the way we conduct our obituaries, everything is changed. And that has happened only in last 1.5 years. This has impacted a healthcare delivery and healthcare workforce to a very great extent. And if you look at ophthalmology, we are one of the specialty whereby we are closest to the patient. Our number of patients are second highest in all health care facilities. We attend maximum number 2 patients after the orthopedics, and we have very close proximity with the patients. And looking at that, we have to see what we heard today, that one ophthalmologist died in last 5 days. And I was listening to NDTV news yesterday that in last 1.5 years, IMA has lost 1,056 doctors. So that suggests is not only the need of the patient, it is the doctor's need and doctor's requisite that our ophthalmologists, or optometrists, or frontline health workers, our emergency workers are safe. And that is the need. The telemedicine as such is on rise. And when I look at our field, I have to look at what is happening in the rest of the field. If you look at the companies like Practo and LifeDate, these are the 2 companies in telemedicine. They have 2 lakhs of doctors registered with them, 80,000 doctors registered with them. That suggests that the need for telemedicine has risen very sharply in last 1.5 years. And this is going to increase. Only thing is this, that we don't ask our patients. We only feel that, yes, our patient may not need our services by telemedicine or teleophthalmology practices, but that is not correct. If you look at the studies and surveys, most of the patients, including me, if I have a choice, I would like to stay and take a medical consultation at home rather than going and standing in the line or standing in the queue with a physician or any other specialty. That suggests that telemedicine practice will be on rise in time to come. So look at industries like Tata Health, look at industries like Amazon Care in US, look at Tata Health providing telemedicine services to patients as low as starting for 100 rupees for a physician's consultation. That suggests that we have to adopt ways and we have to change the ways what we have been practicing in past. Understanding last year, 23rd of March 2020, we had this telemedicine laws, and most of the credit goes to Colonel Ashwin Goel and Telemedicine Society for bringing out these laws. And looking at, there are 2 kinds of consultation happening in telemedicine. One is asynchronous and other is synchronous. Giving you a brief about the 2 consultations. Asynchronous is a kind of consultations whereby you can store your data and you can send it to your doctor. It means that it is not a simultaneous consultations with your doctor. And patient can go to what we are practicing in India with all the NGOs, with all other hospitals so far, is we are practicing asynchronous model, whereby a patient goes to a vision center or maybe a fixed location, and he is seen by technicians. He's seen by a vision technician in India, and he does all the preliminary work. whatever he feels to be referred, he collects the data from the patient, and that is sent to the base hospital. This is the modality we are doing it in India. And this modality is not in India. There are many other countries which are following this concept, not only in reaching to the population, even in private practice. I'll give you an example of the same practice in US. There are two companies. One is digital optometrics, and there's another company called 20 by 20 now. These companies, they have optical stores in US, whereby a patient goes anytime, and if the optometrist is there or ophthalmologist is there or not, the patient is examined by a vision technician, and the data are transferred to the optometrist and ophthalmologist sitting in any other locations, and prescription of glasses, prescription of medicine is given to the patient. So this model is practiced all over. Only legality what we have to see in this, that a consultation by a medical practitioner permitted by the law, whether the patient is there or not, it must be initiated by the decision has to be taken by the medical practitioners. It means every consultation, the reply, the patient must have been seen by the healthcare provider in synchronously or asynchronously. So every patient decision must be initiated by the healthcare provider and should not be left to the technician. So that legality we have to maintain as per the laws of telemedicine. Coming back to other asynchronous mode you have seen. You have seen Dr. Natarajan showing you a mobile van whereby they have been sending patients for screening the diabetic retinopathy. Same practices are there in the rest of the world where they send refraction to be done, which is called call by demand for refraction. Some companies they send the mobile van. Some companies even in India they send a person on the bike with a set of instruments and they do it. So these are the modalities of asynchronous care. But what we have to see is just that asynchronous care is is costly, because setting up a vision center or setting up of a shop to reaching the population is expensive. And secondly, two consultants, one vision center, one ophthalmologist are involved in every consultation if we are doing it legally correctly. So we have to see the cost in telemedicine has to be kept low. And that is why people opt for synchronous care. And synchronous cares are something that has changed the whole way what we have been doing it in past. Nowadays, people needs consultation not only from villages, but your neighbor also needs to be seen remotely. He doesn't want to come to your clinic. And these are the synchronous modes of consultations are happening now, which has changed and which is what I want to discuss. In synchronous mode, you have to be seen and heard by the patients live. And this, previously we used to have those broadband connections and dedicated URL, costly lines, ISRO projects dedicated to vision centers. But now those, because of internet penetration all over India and all over the world, these technologies have become very, very cost effective. And what we have seen is this, that many of you feel that adopting a telephthalmology is very expensive. But in my experience, it is the cheapest way of starting your practice if you want to start even right from tomorrow or from today. And I'll tell you how you can do it. I want you to look at the software or look at the app called DoxyMe, DOXYME. In this, you can have, because what you need is this, that all over, and in many years, since last many years, the doctors have been giving consultation to patients on WhatsApp or on email, but there needs to be security. So security is provided by these portals, which are called HIPAA compliant, or keeping the secrecy of the patients. So when you do your registration at DoxyMe, you as a consultant are given your unique URL number, whereby this URL number can be shared with your patients, and that patients can be in any locations, anywhere in the world. And you can provide the consultation right after my presentation. So log in with your clinic name, log in with your personal name, you will get a URL number and you will be able to see your patient. So you have a new address on your visiting card right from now. And not only one, this is available in India. This is most popular in Australia. And if you look at many parts of the world, people are using DoxyMe. There are 2-3 more platforms I will tell you if you want to look at more. There's another program called iCare Live. whereby not only just doing your initial, this doximi is free of cost. And you can get a paid version for this if you want to add text or email or certain notifications or the payment modalities into it. So you have a free version whereby you can provide consultations, and you have a paid version also. iCare Live is a paid version, and hereby you can check patient's vision. You can send patient's prescription to the pharmacy, and you can dispense contact lenses to the patient directly at their home. The next one I want to talk about is a new company which is by Keeler. I'm sure every ophthalmologist, every optometrist knows about this company. This is called Advanced Ophthalmic, as AOS. AOS stands for Advanced Ophthalmic Solutions, whereby, even if you are in your clinic or if the patient is anywhere, he can take the picture of his cornea and send it to this software. And this software, using artificial intelligence, can guide you about what kind of dry eyes, what is the grade of dry eyes, and what is the condition of your ocular surface. This is launched by Keeler, and any optometrist, any ophthalmologist sitting in this, you may not have slit lamp in most of the vision centers, or you may not have slit lamp in patient's house. The patient is asked to send 2 pictures from his mobile phone using iPhone, and your artificial intelligence detects what kind of dryness, and this is used by many patients for using contact lenses and dry eyes. So AOS is a very popular and most it's a award-winning app which has been launched by the Keeler. There are many others like this. You have a Get Care. One is the name is Get Set Care, and most of the companies, most of the manufacturers today, like if you look at Topcon, they have launched some instruments which have telemedicine built into it. Even JAIS, they have telemedicine instruments whereby you don't need any other software. But the only limitation of those companies is you have to buy their own instrument. You can't connect your existing instruments to it. So most of the manufacturers are linking their telemedicine software into their own instrument line so that you can provide telemedicine care to your teleophthalmology care to your patients. But today, if you look at the blindness issue, or if you look at what you want to solve, is refractive error. Everyone wants to solve the problem of refractive error remotely. And this is something which I think everyone wants, but I will tell you what is happening in US is just there are 4 companies today who are racing for, not racing, but some of them are already doing. I'll give you the name. There's a company called Visible, and this company was formerly called Optonative, which suggested they were looking for alternative to optometry, and the company was named Optonative after that. And this company, along with, I'm sure many of you who are in the optical industry, they must have heard of Warby Parker. Warby Parker is the biggest opticians online in US. Companies like 1800 Contact Lenses, which are the biggest retailers of contact lenses in US. All of them, they have a software whereby you don't need any instrumentation, and you can do the refraction of the patients sitting in their home without sending them any devices. The only limitation is that the government doesn't allow the refraction of the patients who are below 18 and above 50. And there should not be any other morbidity in those cases. And they have a limitation of the prescription that only can be seen within those. After this, I think they have a limitation of -4. Above this, you must see an optometrician, ophthalmologist for the prescription. So these are the trends that are emerging. There's a company in Israel today which is called 6over6, and Lenskart has invested $1 million in this company, and they are looking to come out with a software whereby the glasses can be prescribed to the patients sitting in their home. And that is what will change the whole revolution. That will change the whole dynamics of refractive error globally, not only in those countries, but globally. And there are few companies which are just Dr. Natarajan mentioned about Peak Retina. And there are 2 startups which are coming up with certain instruments like Peak Retina, whereby you can do vision check, at the same time do a retina check. And there's another company which is called OcuDoc. Similarly, they are coming out with some instrumentation for measurement of refractive error by attaching a device to your mobile phone. So there are good development happening in synchronous care. But what is the new trend happening globally is that patients wants to be seen remotely, and chronic patients, like patients who are requiring a constant check of pressure, visual field, and OCT, whereby they cannot come or they would not like to come. There are certain instruments that are being manufactured, they are available, and I will give you the name of those patients who are requiring regular checkup. They are monitoring their IOP. There's eye care tonometer, which is even available in India. And this tonometer is given on rent to the patients who need to be checking their pressure regularly. And the patients can rent it with some hospitals. Patient or some hospitals in Delhi, I know they send patients to, they send it technicians rather than giving it on loan. So there are options for measuring the IOP at home. There are contact lenses which are not just launched, but there are a lot of research going on which will be measuring your IOP on a 24-hour basis. So technologies are happening and they are going to aid, they are going to help us in watching the patients remotely. Technologies like MRF visual field, which you can check the visual field of the patient. Patient is sitting at home on his desktop, on his iPad, on his TV screen. You can check the visual field of the patient with equal accuracy as that of when you call the patients in your clinic. There is a new video which I shared recently, which is called 4C Home. This is a small OCT portable device which a patient is given at home, whereby he can check on a daily basis if he is going to develop a wet AMD, and the reports are sent directly to ophthalmologist for the monitoring of his retinal condition. There's a company in Israel which is taking a very advanced step in this, which is called Nova Sight. And they have an instrument which is a very small portable instrument, whereby children from 3 years to 12 years of age, what they do, they give this interactive or a kind of iPad to the patient, and the child watches these interactive videos, watches this, they have certain templates, and by just looking at those, this instrument is called Ishift. I would like that most of you should Google it and find out. This portable, not so expensive instrument can measure your visual acuity, can measure your color vision, can make your contrast sensitivity, can check amblyopia, can check your reading speed, your pursuit, your saccades. It gives you 11 parameters while the patient or the doctors can be in any location. These are small instruments and that gives you 11 parameters. And if you look at the other development, which I was very pleased to get in news from Ahuja Institute, that they have come out with a binocular, like a software for amblyopia, or they have used this software and they have given the publication in one of the journal, whereby they found that the software is called CureC, where a patient is given certain interactive videos or the games of his choice, and he watches those and removes the need of the patch and gets the treatment for amblyopia at his home. Likewise, the company from Israel, they already have a CureShift, which is a treatment for binocular vision remotely. All this is happening remotely. And even in India, we have a software which is launched by one of our friends, Mr. Oli, whereby vision therapy exercises can be given to the patients remotely using your computer and the software what he has. So the technology is expanding such a great speed, and since these technologies are there for other treatment for refractive errors, we have certain instruments like IQ. I'm sure we demonstrated it last time. We have a small instrument which just get attached to your mobile phone and you can measure the refractive error at home. You have an instrument from a company called iNetra. Even Essilor have launched a small instrument which is called Vision Check, whereby you can measure the refractive error by sending these devices. And these are not very expensive devices. Just sending for $50, $60 you can get this instrument. You can send this. We have certain devices like at home when we do teleconsult, we send these devices to the patient and we measure the refractive error when the patient is at home. So these are some of the developments. And Monica, can you play the video? This one development I want to talk to you about, which is about, this is not much connected with the ophthalmology, but since we are talking about telemedicine, this one development that we saw or I read about is called tele-ICU. What is tele-ICU is just that we see most of the doctors are getting infected with COVID times. In US, they have launched a company has come out with a module whereby they watch a patient sitting in any other location. A doctor and 4 nurses, they oversee 45 ICU patients sitting in different locations. And this observing of the patients remotely has reduced the mortality rate. And not only one, now they have 40 such command centers, which are called tele-ICU centers, which monitors 3,750 patients by ICU in different hospitals. So these are the modalities what you can see in by use of telemedicine. This is something which is called robotics in medical care, and whereby medical robots are managing the hospital entrance gate, they are managing the hospital receptions, they are managing the hospital concierge, they are using the telehistory protocols, which helps the patients to deliver the medicine. Artificial intelligence is built in such a way that they assist nurses in doing their general care. Likewise, in hospitals, the doctors don't need to go to every ward, every patient. They can monitor their patients, they can interact with their patients without going to each and every bed.